Well, hello everyone. My name's Craig Pike. Most of you know me from BridgeForce in the technology department. I do all my presentations, you guys, at the RSP meetings, the PD days, and sometimes, if I'm lucky, the fall general meeting. So this is going to continue on with the PD days, except we're doing it all virtually now. And I'm going to walk you through how to get signed up for that, and then I'm also going to talk to you about a few other things which we'll go through. But before we get into that, just wanted to chat with you guys, even though you're not going to be able to respond to me at the moment. But yeah, we're at this point in time, we're 9 weeks into this, and kind of getting into a good groove. It's odd. The first few weeks were very, very strange. It's still strange. I've never done a webinar before like this. I was just telling, Alan is helping me record this right now. I was just talking to him saying that I'm more nervous about this than I am as if I was to be going to Woodbridge and presenting in front of 120 or 150 of you. I don't know why this makes me more nervous, but and I must admit, I really do miss those things. You know, when we found out that the PD days initially were going to be canceled, that was really crummy to me, because you guys know I love coming out to the different venues and seeing you and catching up. Presenting, being up on stage is a blast, but talking with all of you afterwards about this nerdy tech stuff is a ton of fun. And you know, I usually get to do it with the RSP meeting and then the PD days, and to find out the PD days were canceled was really disappointing. But they're back on, and I must admit, I'm kind of excited about what we're doing. We've never done anything like this before, and I think it's really, really cool and a great way to connect with all of you, and awesome for you guys to get your CE credits. So like I said, I'm going to go through a couple of things about how to get set up on the BridgeForce University website so that you can be registered for the PD days. I'm also going to talk about some computer security. I do this all the time in my presentations, but now it's more important because some of you are working from home for the first time, right? Many of you have offices, and so computer security is really, really important, especially now. Everyone's trying to take advantage of misinformation out there. Hackers are having a field day, right? There's been so many scams about the curb. You know, people take advantage of that. Hey, sending text messages, how are you going to get your money? Click on this link, you know. So we've got to be extra cautious nowadays, right? Talk about video conferencing solutions. I think that's about 9 weeks too late, but that's okay. I still want to go over a few of them. I'm sure all of you are well versed in those because, you know, 9 weeks ago, I hadn't heard of Zoom, and now I've been on a million Zoom calls. I've been on a million other calls as well, using different solutions, and definitely figured out which ones I really like and which ones I don't ever want to use again. So we'll talk about a few of those. Remote tech support would be another one that I want to talk about, because a lot of you are, this isn't professional tech support, it's more family tech support or friend tech support, right? A lot of you might be the go-to person for tech support in your family, from your older parents or things like that, right? Well, how do you do this in the environment that we're in right now? So I want to show you one solution, go through it, how it works. It's free, which is really, really nice, because I'll tell you right now, doing it over the phone, trying to walk through instructions with somebody when you can't see what they're seeing, and it's brutal. It can be brutal. So this will make your life a little bit easier, right? You'll turn that hour-long phone call into 5 minutes. And then last but not least, device picks. I was a little surprised initially because I had a lot of advisors reach out saying, okay, I've got to get a new computer, you know, this one's failing. And then looking back on it, well, it makes more sense, right? Because I'm using my computer a ton. I use it during the work day, of course, but then we've been using it in the evening for Zoom calls, for any meetings. I don't use my phone for those things. I use my computer. It's just I feel like it's a better experience. Plus I don't have to hold it up, right? And just sit it down and go. So device picks, we'll run through those. Let's get started with the BridgeForce University tour. So the brand BridgeForce University has been around for a long time. We've been using it for anytime we have a meeting, right? We reference BridgeForce University. Now, over the past couple of weeks, with the help of Alan and Nadine and a couple other people within BridgeForce, we've launched a new website. And it's all geared towards you guys, advisors, and how you can stay educated, keep up with your CE credits. Another thing is it's a landing platform for us, for our PD days now, right? And for some of our future meetings, like the fall general meeting, although That's not quite official yet. I have no idea what's even been said, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be here too. Hopefully I can get in on that one because I'd like to see you guys in September, October, whenever that is. So I want to give you a tour of this, how you get signed up, and then how you can sign up for the PD days. So let's hop into that. This is the website. We'll have links from the BridgeForce website to this. They're not there yet, but maybe by the time you watch this, they will be there, right? The website up there, bridgeforce-university.com. It's a new website. This is the landing page right here. When you get here, the first thing you're going to want to do, you can see there's our advertisement for the PD days, and there's Peter Harrison, right? Big smiley face. You'll see him on the 20th and the 21st, which would be kind of nice. Missed that guy. I saw him yesterday on a Zoom call. First thing you want to do when you get here is click sign up. You can see my mouse. There we go. Click sign up, right? You got to get an account. I want to mention this is a separate website than the BridgeForce website. So the account that you have with the BridgeForce website, the Advisor Center, where you get all the compliance documents, that's separate from this. You've got to create a new account from this. But don't worry, process is insanely simple. And as soon as you create it, you're right into it. So you'll click sign up. And in here, fill out this form. Click create account. And you're in. It's just that quick, right? Obviously, I didn't fill out any information. I've already got an account. And then to get set up for the PD days, here they are, right up here. Give it a click. You can scroll down and look. You can check out the speakers and all that stuff if you'd like. But really, I want you to go to Start Course. You click that, and you're almost there. It wants you to do a test of your computer. Now, if you're hearing this presentation on your computer that you're going to be using next week, you're already good to go. But I want you to click the play button down there, and that's just going to determine whether you can see video and hear sound, right? Because you need both of those things to participate in the webinar. Once you do that, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll click on Next Lesson, right? Pop over here, and you've got to fill out this form. Just wants your name, where you are, which BridgeForce office you're associated with. Submit that form, and we're good to go. It says you've passed. Yes, you filled out your information correctly. Hooray, you're a winner. Click Continue, and you've done it. You've registered. You're at this landing page right now. You're perfect. You're registered for the PD days. You're good to go. The day of, on the 20th, you'll come back here. Let me switch over. So the morning of the presentations, right? When they start, May 20th, you'll come back to bridgeforceuniversity.com. You'll click on Live PD Days Webcast. You'll click on Continue Course, and it takes you right back here. Now, however, I want you to click Sign into the webcast, right? This is what you'll do the morning of, and then you'll hit Submit My Answers, and you'll be good to go. You'll be on the webcast, and you'll be watching along with everyone else. So I'm not presenting that day. You get you get my presentation earlier, but they've got a good lineup of speakers. Some have already been recorded because they're not going to be live, and some have yet to be recorded. And we've got a great keynote speaker as well. It should be really, really entertaining. So let's move on into computer security. Puts together some recommendations. That's not just from working from home. It's broader than that, but things that I want to really reinforce and drive home, right? I set up this list. They're not minimum security requirements, but I guess they kind of are. You need these things. You definitely need these things. And we'll go through, we'll talk about each one and how you find out whether you have it or not. But these are really, really important, okay? For compliance and for security. Hooray, more talk about compliance, right? Okay, so first and foremost, Windows 10 Pro. Some computers come with Windows 10 Home, and some computers come with Windows 10 Pro. You need Windows 10 Pro. We'll talk about why in a minute. The other thing I want to talk about is the Windows 10 app warning. It's just an extra layer of security when you're installing programs. It's kind of like a check, right? It says, hey, are you sure you really want to do this? And I like it because, well, I'll give you the example later, but I really like this feature, and I think everyone needs to have it enabled in Windows 10. Malwarebytes Premium, old news, we talk about it all the time. You got to have that, or any other security suite, I guess. but I really like Malwarebytes. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that your default browser is not Microsoft Internet Explorer. It's okay to use, but we really want your default browser to be something else. It'll really beef up your security. Okay, Windows 10 Pro. Why do you want it? Why do you need it? Why is Erlene going to say you definitely have to have this, right? Erlene Moulton, our compliance officer. Biggest reason is it has Microsoft BitLocker drive encryption. Windows 10 Home does not have hard drive encryption. Pro does. And you need this in order to be compliant. If you're to be audited by, well, Erlene or any one of the supplier companies, this is one of the questions. Is your hard drive encrypted, right? If you have Windows 10 Home, it is not. So this is a must. How do you find it? Don't worry, there's a bunch of text down there. We'll talk about that, but I'm going to show you where it is in a second. Basically, you click Start, go to Settings, System, click on About, Windows Specifications, and then you'll look at Edition. Now, that's a lot of text. Let's look at what that actually looks like. I have to show this picture because it's interesting to me. When I say click the Start button, there's some people who look at me like I'm crazy because there's like, what is the Start button? And I guess it's just easier for me because back in Windows 95 days, there was an actual button that said Start. They've since gotten rid of that, made it a little bit smaller, and now it's just a Windows flag, but everybody still calls it Start. So that's what it is. It's this little thing down here, bottom left corner of your screen. It's the Start button, right? So you'll click that, you click on Settings, and then once you're in Settings, you're going to click on, well, there's a System icon. You'll click on System, scroll all the way down to About, and over here on this side, you'll see under Windows Specifications, the edition that I'm running. This is my personal machine, or my work machine, Windows 10 Pro. So if you see this, great. You're good to go already. We'll just got to check and see if your drive encryption is turned on or not. If you see Windows 10 Home, we've got to do something about that, right? So how do you upgrade from Home to Pro? You're going to buy it, and I believe it's around 150 bucks. I was trying to look on my system. Unfortunately, all of my systems are Windows 10 Pro, and so when I go to the Microsoft Store and look, it says, "Oh, you've already got this," and we're not going to tell you the price. So I believe though it is 150 bucks, which yeah, that's kind of crummy, but at the same time, you got to have it. So I guess you could classify it as a business expense, right? Write it off. How do you upgrade? Click the Start button. In the Start menu, we scroll down to Microsoft Store. Open up the Microsoft Store, and then in the top right corner, there's a search dialog box. You click in there, and I want you to type Windows 10 Pro. Hit enter on that, and then click Learn More. What does that look like? Here we are in the store. When I first got here, I clicked on Search, and I typed in Windows 10 Pro. These are the results. This very first one that you see right here, this is what you click Learn More on. And then that'll switch to another page, which I can't show you because mine's already Pro, but it walks you through the process of buying it, inputting your credit card information, and then it'll start to download. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. This is an upgrade, right? And so it's going to take it's going to take some time. Mine took about 20 minutes, but depending on the speed of your computer, you go 20 minutes, 40 minutes, right? It's usually pretty quick. So just make sure you've got some time for your computer to sit there and do this, because you won't be working away on other things while it's doing this. Okay, so now you've got Windows 10 Pro for sure, right? How the heck do we check the drive encryption, whether it's on or not? Again, I'll show you a picture in a second, but you're going to click Start, Settings, Update and Security, and then scroll down to Drive Encryption, and ensure that Drive Encryption is turned on. Here's what that screenshot looks like. You can see I'm in the Settings app, come to Update and Security. Down here under Drive Encryption, mine is turned on. That's great. Now I have had a couple of chats with advisors they've had Windows 10 Pro, but their Drive Encryption is turned off. That shouldn't happen that much. That's usually when you have Pro, it's just enabled by default. If it's off, not a big deal. Instead of saying turn off, it'll say turn on, right? But again, when you do this, make sure you've got some time. I want to set aside at least 20 minutes, right? And if your drive encryption is turned on, and you click turn on, it'll give you two choices. One will say, do you want to encrypt the portion of the hard drive that you're using, or do you want to encrypt the entire drive? We want to encrypt the entire drive. It says in there it's going to take longer, that's fine, but we want the whole thing encrypted. The reason why we need drive encryption is if you ever lose your computer, leave it in a cab or something like that, the hard drive is encrypted, and it means people can't access it, right? So it's significantly less of a compliance nightmare if you lose a computer that's encrypted versus a computer that isn't. So this is a must. If Brittany finds out you're running Windows 10 Pro, she'll kill you. All right, moving on. Windows 10 app warning. Talked about this before. It's more important than it was given our current circumstances, right? Basically, what this is, it warns you before installing a program on your computer, right? And the reason why I think that's important is so you don't get fooled into installing something that you didn't mean to install. So let's say that you got an email and it's not a legit email, but you don't know that, right? You got an email from a friend and it says, hey, click on this link. I want to show you this picture. It's hilarious, right? So you click on the link. It downloads. What it ends up downloading is a program, right? Let's say, but you think it's a picture still, right? Because that's what your friend had said. So it downloads a program, and it's sitting in your little download status bar. You click on that. You're like, oh, I want to see this picture. Not actually a picture, it's a program, right? With Windows 10 app warning, as soon as you click on that little program, it's going to try and run it, but this one's going to come up and say, hey, wait a minute. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to install this program? And now, I love this because you're thinking, well, wait a minute, I wasn't installing a program. I was trying to look at a picture, right? So this thing has come up and you can hit cancel and the program won't install. And that's good. Now, the good news is if you want to install a legitimate program, let's say you're installing illustration software or doing an update for one of those things, right? Again, this warning will come up and say, you're attempting to install a program from outside of the Microsoft Store. Are you sure you want to do this? Like, yes, I do. I need to update RepSource or whatever. It's not called RepSource, it's called Diamond View. And so you can proceed, and that's great. I like this feature because it makes you think twice before installing something, right? How the heck do you enable this thing? You're going to click on Start, Settings, Apps, and then under the section Installing Apps, you're going to click on the pull-down menu, and you want to select anywhere. So the question is, where do you want to allow apps to install from? You're going to select this option, anywhere, but warn me before installing an app that's not from the Microsoft Store, okay? Here's what it looks like. Again, we're in settings, apps, and right at the top, we want to change it to anywhere, but warn me before installing an app that's not from the Microsoft Store. And then you're good to go. You get that added layer of security. Malwarebytes Premium. Again, been talking about it for years and years. I love this software. I love it. It's great. I do like it more than Norton Antivirus and McAfee. They're fantastic too. If you've got those, great. If there's no reason to switch over to this one. If you don't have anything, I recommend Malwarebytes Premium. The reason why I like it so much, it's very, very powerful, very robust, but it doesn't eat all of your system resources, right? It has less of an impact than Norton and McAfee do on your computer. We want to keep these things running nice and fast, right? And the other thing I like about it is it's dirt cheap. You can see the pricing right there, $52 for 1 year for one device. And then what's really nice is if you want to add a second device, the price does not double. It goes up just a little bit, right? $65. So what I would recommend is if you've got family, if you've got kids, protect all the devices, right? Get a license that's 1 year or with 5 devices or something like that, right? And if you bump it to 2 years, the price gets not cheaper, but it gets even more economical, right? So you get it from malwarebytes.com. These prices are in Canadian. It's great software. I can't recommend it enough. It's really, really good. The reason why you need premium versus the free version is because premium is always running in the background. Always monitoring what you do, not in a creepy way, don't worry, but just making sure that you're safe. The free version, it's just is a one-time scan. You run it, check your system, okay, there's nothing, and then once you close it, it's not protecting you. There's no real-time protection. All right, Microsoft Internet Explorer. This comes up a lot too. Some of you have this as your default browser. Now that we moved into Windows 10 and away from Windows 7 and even Windows 8, most of you have a different default browser than Microsoft Internet Explorer, but we want to make sure, right? Microsoft Internet Explorer is an old browser. It's a legacy program that we still need. We still have to use from time to time. You've got to use it for anything to do with Blue Sun, so WealthServe, Blue Sun Advisor. There's still a couple of supplier companies that their website will only work on Internet Explorer, but it's not as secure as, say, Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox, right? So we're still allowed to use Internet Explorer, but we just need to use it for those certain circumstances when we have to. So I want you to switch your default browser to something else. And I don't care what it is, whether it's Chrome, Edge, or Firefox. I used to use Chrome. I've since switched over to the new Microsoft Edge. I really, really like it. But hey, it's personal preference. It really is. Any one of those three is fantastic. And you use those as your main browser, your daily driver. You use that all the time. And then those times that you need to log into WealthServe, you open up Internet Explorer. In fact, what I would recommend you do is have your home page for Internet Explorer be WealthServe. If that's what you use the most, then just have that be. So now you know, okay, anytime I need to use WealthServe, open up Internet Explorer, do my WealthServe stuff in there, that's great. And then I go back to using Chrome when I'm browsing the web or doing whatever else it is that you're doing, right? So how do you switch? I'll show you a picture again. Start, settings, go into apps. Under default apps, we want to switch the web browser and just ensure that it is not Internet Explorer. Here's what it looks like. We're back in the settings app, default apps over here, and we're under the web browser section. And I'm currently using Microsoft Edge. But again, it'll list all the browsers you've got. You want to pick one that is not Internet Explorer. If this is the first time you've done this, and you've never used Edge or you've never used Chrome before, when you do this and you open them up, it'll ask if you want to import stuff from Internet Explorer. And that import process is pretty good. It'll bring over your favorites. It'll try to bring over some information about you. I'm not sure if it brings over passwords. I'm trying to remember. It may or may not do that. Yeah, I'm not sure. But this is something that you definitely want to do, right? All right, video conferencing solutions. I say it on here. I should have changed this. It says find the best solution for you and your clients. It's partially about that, but it's also about you and your family, what you're used to. I mean, like I said, 9 weeks ago, I hadn't heard of Zoom before. When I thought of video conferencing, I thought of Skype, right? And then all of this happens, and now Zoom has a humongous user base. It'll go through a lot of negative publicity about their security, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about Zoom and a couple other solutions that I think are just as good. But it's all about finding the one that's right for you, and one that you're comfortable with, and one that your clients are comfortable with. I had a conversation with an advisor last week who was asking about Zoom, and he said, is Zoom okay to use? Because I'm talking to a client and we wanted to have a Zoom chat, but they weren't comfortable using Zoom because of all the stories, all the negative publicity that they've had about their security, right? So, and that's legitimate, right? I totally understand people not being comfortable with it. Zoom has gotten a lot better. They've really beefed up their security. And unfortunately, there's no stories about that now that are making the headlines that their crummy security made, right? So anyways, let's hop into this. These are the ones that I really like. There are a ton more. Everybody has either Facebook Messenger, what they call it, is it Messenger groups or Facebook groups now? That's another one. But anyways, these are the ones that I really, really like. I think they're very, very similar. They're all very easy to use, and they're all very comparable to Zoom, right? I would be very surprised if there was a person watching this who hasn't been involved in a Zoom chat. I mean, we're using Zoom right now, Alan and I are, to record this session. I use Zoom every Sunday night when I have video chats with all of my instructor friends from the YMCA. And then when I have chats with my friends and my family, we don't use Zoom, but that's only because I don't have a license. I've been using Jitsi, and we've been using, I've used Skype a couple of times. And then there's the other one, Hangouts, right? But anyways, let's talk about these. Google Meet, right? This is Google's enterprise video conferencing solution. And what they've done is they've recently made it free for everyone. You no longer need to have their Google business account, G Suite account, right? It's free. Anybody can have this. Anybody can start a meeting. There are no limitations on it. There's no time limits. It just goes. You start the meeting and you're good to go. You go to meet.google.com. If you're doing it from your computer, that's where you go. If you're doing it from your smartphone, download the Google Meet app, right? I must admit, though, I really like doing video conferences from my computer. And when I have the family ones, I take it. I'm in my bedroom right now, only because our we got too many kids. We don't have an office anymore. So the first week here, I'm getting off on a side tangent, but you guys used to that. I do that all the time, my presentations, right? The first week I was working in the kitchen, and that was impossible because my 3 kids were around, and my wife was also trying to work in the kitchen. It was challenging. So now I'm up. This is my new office, but I like it because I've got a nice big window. Anyways, when I do family calls and friend calls, I just take my laptop down to the family room, and we do it there in front of the fireplace, and it's really, really nice. But some of you use your iPads. That's great too. It's personal preference, right? So I really like Google Meet. Jitsi is another one that you probably have not heard of. It's again, it's a lot like Zoom, except it's open source. Open source just means it's well, it's free to use. I'm not going to get into the whole ins and outs of open source, but it's really, really nice because it's all, again, just like these other ones, it's all web-based. You don't need an app if you're going from the desktop. They do have apps for the phone and Android, iOS, all that stuff, the iPad. It's really good. I like it too. Again, there's no time limits, no nothing like that, right? So my family and I have been using Jitsi. And hey, if Keith and Joyce, my parents, can sign into a Jitsi meeting, anybody can do it. It's really, really easy, right? Skype's an interesting one. So I really like Skype now. For the longest time, they were the video conferencing leader, right? You think about video conferencing, you think, oh, yeah, it's Skype, right? And then Microsoft just kind of left that program alone and didn't do anything with it. And then 9 weeks ago, Zoom blows up on the scene, and it's insanely easy to use. You punch in a code, you're in the meeting, right? Skype, on the other hand, was like, well, you got to sign in with your Microsoft account, you got to have the software, and then the other, and it's just, so Microsoft has they've been gung-ho about upgrading all of their video conferencing software, not just Skype, but Teams as well, to make it more friendly and accessible, like Zoom, like Jitsi, like Google Meet, right? So now you can do Skype calls from the web. You've got to have an account for this one. I should mention that too. You've got to have an account for Google Meet, Skype, and Zoom. Jitsi, you don't need an account for, but you got to have an account for Skype. You can start it. You can use the software, the desktop software if you want to, or it's web-based. Anybody who's joining, they can just join in a browser. And then Zoom is great too. They've got an app that you download to run it, and it's good. And like I said, they've really beefed up their security. But if you've got people who aren't comfortable using that, clients, right? Then try one of these other ones. And what I would say is, don't try it the day of the meeting, but take some time and mess around with these, because these things are insanely important, right? We're going to be using these a lot going forward. And I really like the idea of using one of these when you're meeting with your client, right? It's nice to see people. I know, like, talking on the phone is fine, but if I can see you and we're having a back and forth, it's so much better than just an audio conversation. I know some people get hung up. Oh, I don't want you to see me. I look like this, whatever. Forget it. It's really, really important these days, and it's nice to have that face-to-face contact with not only your clients but family and friends, right? The other nice thing is you can share your screen. So let's say you're walking them through filling out an e-application. They've never done it before, but you filled out 1.5 million e-applications. No problem. You get them to share your screen. You can walk them through. It's really, really easy. Really, really nice. These things are important, and I think it's worth your time to take a peek at a couple of them and find the one that you like, and maybe just have a backup to Zoom, just in case you do come across that one client who says, oh, nope, I'm not using that. Instead of trying to convince them otherwise, no problem. We'll use Jitsi, right? It's another alternative, and it's very, very secure. But Zoom is good. It's fine. Just make sure you're using a password for your meetings. Oh, yes. Okay, we'll quickly buzz through this. I just wanted to show you, excuse me, what each platform looked like, right? Not in a meeting, but this is meet.google.com. Really easy. Really, really easy. You go here, you click Start a Meeting, and then it gives you a code that you would then share with all of your participants. And it all happens right in the browser, or like I said, in the app if you've got it. It's great. It couldn't be simpler, honestly. Or if you want to join a meeting, you enter it right in there. It's great. This is Jitsi. Again, I really like this one. Same thing. You start a new meeting, you enter the title in there, and you hit go, and then it gives you the code to pass on to whoever you want to join in. Skype. So you can either download the program, Skype, or go this route. Hop into that website up top there, and right here where it says topic, you can say meet now, but you can erase it and you can put in, Pike family chat, whatever. You wouldn't use that one. You can join my family chat if you want to. It's very exciting, but I don't think you want to. Anyways, and you create free meeting, and then you send out the link, and people get it and they join in. It's awesome. The only thing when you do these things, if you're in a browser, you haven't done it before, it'll probably come up when you start the meeting and say, do you want to give Chrome, if you're using Chrome, access to your webcam and to your audio? Just hit allow, and you're good to go. And then this is what Zoom looks like. Nice and easy. Program you got to download, that's fine. Not a big deal. Enter the meeting link, and then a password, if there is one. Hit join, and you're in, and you're zooming, right? The only thing I must admit I'm not a huge fan of, and Alan's listening in right now, even though he's not sharing his screen. Zoom has a 40-minute limit for free users, and I had heard from someone that if it's just two people, one and one, that there was no time limit. Oh, it's true. Alan's nodding at me. Yeah. Okay. So if it's just one and one, there's no time limit. But if there's more than two people in your meeting, then you're timed to 40. So my Zoom call on Sunday nights with my friends, it's not timed. Somebody has a license, and then the Monday night ones, nobody has a license in there, and so we got our 40 minutes. But I must admit, between you and me, I kind of only want that one to last 40 minutes, anyways, because that's the other thing we've been experiencing, right? How do you end a video conferencing call? Because we're not used to it, we're just kind of, the conversation dies. It's like, well, all right. Or how do you say, guys, I'm only on for half an hour, and then their conversation keeps going. What do? I saw a meme the other day talking about this, and they said, here's 4 things you could do to get out of a video call. One is mute your audio and then just start talking, and then hang up and message back and say, oh, my audio stopped working, right? Or the other one is just to be bold and hang up, right? Just get out of the conversation. But yeah, I've had a couple of those where they're going on, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, okay, I want to get on. I want to get off this chat and start watching Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. But anyways, very fun. These things have been great, and it's a really nice way to connect with people. I'm sure you all know that. Again, it's been 9 weeks, so you've all been on these calls, but it's a really nice way to connect with people, and it's really, really important, right? All right, remote support. Remote tech support. This one, I'm aiming it more towards families, right? Supporting the people that it may be, like I said before, you might be your tech support person for your family, or you might be reliant on someone else in your family, right? And how do we make that process easier? There's a ton of solutions for this. This is just one that I happen to really like. It's nice and simple. It's called TeamViewer. It's free. You can go to teamviewer.com and download the software. It allows you install TeamViewer, right? I'm going to use my mom as an example, okay? I use her all the time. So I install TeamViewer on my computer. I tell her, go to teamviewer.com and install the software as well, right? And I'll show you pictures of this in a second. And then what it allows us to do, she tells me, okay, my code is this. I type the code in, and now I've got access to her computer with her permission, right? And it's nice because I can then walk through, if she's telling me, hey, something's on my computer, what is this, right? Rather than her describing it to me, and I have no clue. Maybe it's legitimate, maybe it's not, I don't know. I can log in and I can see it for myself, right? The other thing is, if they're having a tech problem, right? They got, I don't know, you're trying to print something and you're getting a weird message. You can pop on and you can actually see it. I don't know if you guys have been a part of this, but I'm often am. Having someone who's not technical describe the problem over the phone is brutal for both people in the call, right? So this, honestly, it takes the stress levels way down. I'll tell you that. I don't know how many times in the past. By the end of my conversation with my mom, both of us are shouting at each other, right? Not with this software. So, hey, Craig, this is going on. I pop in, I connect. I'm like, okay, no worries, Mom. Here, let me show you how to do this, going forward. So I really like this program. And I think, I can't go over to my parents' house. I've gone over and hung out in their backyard while they've sat up on the deck, and I've had a physical distancing beer with them or two. And that's been good. Oh, that's another thing, during the side topic, but thank goodness for alcohol delivery, right? And craft beer breweries, right? Um, I've had over the past couple of weeks, I've had an order from Cowbell Breweries. Discovered a new beer from there that I hadn't had before. Really, really nice. And what's great is they don't use Canada Post to deliver. They use someone else called Canpar, which is great because Canada Post has been a pain in the butt these past few weeks. But everybody else seems to have really stepped up their game. And then I had another order from Muskoka Breweries. They have a new product called by Muskoka Spirits, and it's vodka soda. They have really unique flavors like lime coconut. It's awesome. Anyways, okay, back to the topic. You guys know me. How can we have a presentation where I don't talk about alcohol, right? Okay, so back to TeamViewer. Here's what it looks like, right? Once you've got it installed, see where it says my ID, sorry, your ID and password. It's not mine. I've changed those numbers because if I left those on, then you'd know what my ID was. And I don't want you to. So I would open this up, my mom opens it up, and she's got a different ID and a different password. And if I want to connect to her, I say on the phone, I'm like, hey mom, what does your ID say? And she reads it out to me, I type it in here, and then I hit connect. And then I get another prompt that says, enter the password. I say, mom, what's the password? She tells me, I type it in, and boom, we're connected, right? Here's an example of what it would look like, right? So I've connected to one of my home computers here, but this is what it is. I'm now in TeamViewer, and in this TeamViewer application window is the computer that I've connected to. I've got settings open here in Windows 10, just as if I was, fake working on a call or on a tech support issue, right? And now I've got their screen. I can see it. It's good to stay on the phone with them while you're doing this, speakerphone, whatever. Just make life easy. You can fix the problem, and then you just close the application, and you're good. You've fixed it, right? So I really like this program. A lot of headaches are avoided by using this as opposed to trying to describe things over the phone. All right, device picks. Still really important. Everybody's still, like I said, desktop computers are now more important than they were before, just because we're using them so much more than we were before. I saw an article the other day saying that this pandemic has just illustrated the fact that desktop computing is not dead, right? Every time they release a new iPad, everybody always says, oh, the desktop killer. It's like, yeah, if you want to get real work done, you're not doing it on an iPad, right? You're doing it on a real computer. Anyways, this whole thing, like I said, I'm now using my Surface in the evenings for these calls, and this little machine that I'm using, it takes a beating, and it's getting used a ton. And so we've got to make sure that you guys are using the right ones that are going to last and be able to handle all that you're throwing at it. So let's pop into this. Where to purchase? I've modified this from when I was presenting to you in person, because obviously I used to list, the Eaton Center and Yorkdale Mall, Square One, and I want you to go to those places. In fact, I don't think they're not open. The Microsoft Store is not an essential service. Well, maybe it is. It's got tech support. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. I don't want you going there. Order online, right? So MicrosoftStore.com, or the other place that I will allow you to buy from is Dell. And we always get into this. Well, I still get advisors. There's a deal on Best Buy. No, don't do it. Don't order from Best Buy. Not a computer. Don't do it. Quickly go over the reason why. You get a computer from Best Buy, and it's got a bunch of. It's called crapware. You guys have heard me talk about this for years and years and years. The computer that you buy from Best Buy versus the one you get from Dell or the Microsoft Store is just, after 30 days, there's going to be pop-ups galore. There's a whole bunch of software on there that you don't need, that doesn't come with Windows, but third parties add it on there because they get significant discounts, and they can sell the computer cheaper. I'm telling you, if let's say the same computer's at the Microsoft Store and it's at Best Buy, and the one at Best Buy is, man, even if it's $300 cheaper, it's not worth it. It isn't worth it. Pay the extra $300 because the ones from the Microsoft Store and Dell, they come with Windows 10, come with all the drivers that you need to make it run properly. And then it's got, usually Dell will have their own device monitoring software, which is really, really good for keeping it up to date, right? But there's none of this extra stuff that you would have if you were to buy it from Best Buy. So these are the only two places. The deal with Dell, you can browse on Dell.ca, but I don't want you to buy from there. I want you to call them. And the reason is, oftentimes when you call them and you say that you're buying for a business, so you get put onto the business line, and they can really discount their computers like crazy. So you see the list price on their website is $800. Well, they might be able to take that down, or they might be able to recommend a different one, a much more expensive one that has better features, and get it down to 800 bucks, right? So there's just a lot of wiggle room when you talk to them. So check out Dell.ca. Plus the other thing, oh my gosh, Dell.ca, you go to that site and they've got a million computers. They have so many different lines of computers, Vostro, Latitude, Inspiron, and XPS, and it's just like, whoa, what? I know the ones that I like, but and then once you click into, okay, I want a Vostro, now there's 15 models, and it's too much. It's too much. So another reason why I want you to call them, I've always had a great experience talking with them. You tell them what you're using it for. Actually, tell them these specs that you want, and they'll find a device that's perfect. They'll find a bunch of devices, and they'll say, okay, this one, that, right? Or we'll bump up your RAM and we'll take the price down to this. So really call Dell. These are the ideal specifications that you want. A lot of advisors have asked me over the years, well, I can get an Intel Core i7. Why don't I do that? The reason why I don't care whether you have an i7 or an i5 is you won't use the power of an i7 unless you're doing video editing and things like that. Heavy photoshopping. I mean heavy Photoshop. I've got Photoshop installed on my computer. I've got an i5. Runs great. So you don't need to spend the extra money to get an i7. You really don't. That's not going to increase the life of that computer or anything for you. It really isn't. So I want i5. Don't want i3. It's just that one is a little bit more hobbling, right? So i5. RAM, 8 gigs and up. I am 8 gigs. I'm more of a power user, and I get by on 8. But hey, if there was a deal on 16, I'd take it in a heartbeat for sure. Why not, right? In that case, having more RAM just means you can have more, I don't know, Google Chrome tabs open. Google Chrome is a memory killer, and still be, flying along really nice and quick. Memory, this is hard drive space. I want a minimum of 256 gigabytes. You can go 128 if you want to. I've used those before, but I must admit, I think the sweet spot is 256. Anything higher than that, you can get 512, but that's getting to be a ton. And I'm trying to think, what do I have on my computer, right? Not much. All my photos, are in Google Photos, backed up to the cloud. They're not on my computer. All my music is in Spotify, not here. So I really don't have much on here. So I kind of like 256 gigs, and I want an SSD for sure. It's a solid state drive, no moving parts. Right, so the longevity of that drive is insane. In fact, the warranty on a solid state drive is 5 years. The warranty on a traditional hard drive, HDD, is 30 days. Doesn't mean it's going to break after 30 days. It just means that that's how long they guarantee it for. So solid state, gun for that for sure. Screen size, up to you. And lastly, no Apple Macs for business. Great machines, overpriced. It's like the Mercedes. No, it's like the. Do I want to compare Apple to Bugatti? I don't think so. It's just they're really nice machines, but man alive, are they overpriced, And if you want to go that route, I know some of you have kids. They're like, oh, I got to get an Apple. I have to. I'm going to university. They require it. No, they don't. They're trying to pull one over on you. They're really expensive. They're really nice. I think they're fantastic to use, but they're just expensive. And with compatibility, can't run Internet Explorer on it, which you guys need for your business. And you can't install illustration software. There are ways around that, but unless you're technical, you won't be doing them, right? So no Macs. I know some of you got them, and that's okay. That's fine. You're getting by. Good. So into Dell. I like the Inspiron and Vostro lineup. Dell has too many different kinds of computers. It doesn't matter, whichever one, right? One thing I want you to pay attention to when you're buying these things is make sure that you get it with Windows 10 Pro already installed on it. It's cheaper. If you get it with Home, you're just gonna have to go through the upgrade, and then you're spending an extra 150 bucks. So I guess I should have added that to this slide of specifications, Windows 10 Pro. Make sure if you're buying one, you get it. But these two lines, one is the Home line, one is the business line. But oddly enough, they sell the Home line in the business line too. Anyways, whatever. Screen size, it's up to you. The weight, very nice, right? 2.5 all the way up to 4 pounds. And then the price is good, right? We're not spending $2,000 on a computer. You can easily get by spending 800 bucks, and it's a nice quick computer. Again, call them. The next ones I'm going to talk about are the Surface devices. I want to let you know the Microsoft Surface devices. I want to let you know though, the Surface device specs are exactly the same as these specs. Surface is more expensive because it's an aspirational device. Microsoft didn't want to compete with its partners, right? So they beefed up the price a little bit. But at the same time too, I mean, I've got an old Surface here, but they're tiny. They're super thin, right? I mean, I've got the keyboard cover on, but this is a full computer, right? And it's really nice to carry around. This versus a traditional desktop, even if the laptop, even if the laptop is 2.5 pounds, this is less, right? And this is, this fits nicely into, like, you can put this in a manila folder, but it's I really like this device. So if you want that portability, you're going to pay more for it, right? So the Surface Pro 7, I've got the Surface Pro 6. I love it. I've had the Surface Pro, the Surface Pro 3, 4, and now 6. I love these machines. They're expensive, right? The price is $1,400. That includes the type cover. That's this thing. Oddly enough, they sell it separate, right? And it's $200. So I got to factor that in. Ooh, as I nailed my face with it. I love this device, but again, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. And the other thing is, as you can see, the keyboard it's not a traditional keyboard, right? So you are making a compromise with that. But I must admit, when I go to the cottage, I work off this thing all week long, and it's fine. When I'm in my office and I have this device, I hook up to a nice big monitor. I've got a keyboard, an external keyboard, and an external mouse that I use. I think this next device is even better, and it's the Surface Laptop 3. It's usually cheaper than the Surface Pro. It's an actual laptop. The keyboard does not detach from the bottom. And there's two models, 13.5 inch and 15 inch as well. Obviously, you're going to pay more for the 15 inch. The deal is, with both of these machines, don't buy them at full price. They always go on sale. I think the Laptop 3, then they go on sale like at least once a month, but they take $200 off of this one, and I think they often take 150 or 200 off of this. I can't remember what the prices are, but wait for a sale. Don't pay full price unless you are in a bind and you absolutely have to. Oh, the other little thing that I wanted to tell you, and I've never told you this before, as I didn't want to muddy the waters, but here's the deal. I only want you buying computers from Microsoft or from Dell, okay? Again, not from Best Buy, but a little secret. Right now, it's tough to get computers, right? Stock levels are often low, or you have to wait a couple of weeks in order to get it shipped to you. So you can go to Costco and you can buy a Surface Pro, a Surface laptop. They have them there. You can order them online. They don't, and you'll get it. And Microsoft says to Costco or whoever is going to sell it, Staples, they say, this is it. You're not adding anything to it. It's not Best Buy who does it. It's third parties. But anyways, you can buy the Surface Pro from Costco, or the Surface laptop from Costco as well, right? And I would actually, if you don't want to get to a Microsoft store, I would gun for Costco because their return policy is hilariously good, right? And very consumer focused. So that takes me to the end of the presentation. It's funny having a question slide at the end, but because originally when Alan and I were talking, he was saying, "Oh, I'll take some notes and I'll ask some questions." But then talking at the beginning of this today, and now my question slide is completely pointless. But I do want to say this has been a lot of fun. Having never done this before, I must admit I really do miss seeing you guys. I miss coming out to the venues. We'll get there someday, whenever that is, and whatever that looks like. But it's nice to be able to do this in the interim. Because I've told you guys this before, but honestly, one of my favorite things about the job that I do is presenting. It's coming out and it's seeing you. It's being up on stage, talking to you afterwards, talking about all this nerdy tech stuff with all of you. It's just, you're a really good group of people, and I always look forward to those days that I get to travel to Woodbridge or Ingersoll, Windsor, Niagara, wherever it is, right? So I'm going to cap it off there. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email. And one last thing before I go, I just wanted to remind you all to go over to the BridgeForceUniversity.com website. It is written down there. It's BridgeForce-University.com. And don't forget to sign up for the PD days for next week. It'll be really, very, very good. Thanks again, and have a good one, guys.